Okay, I think this is all set up right now. If this is working, I wish everybody a good evening. This is Ross with Storm Gang Simulation, and this evening we're going to do a little test and just kind of see how things go. Basically, we're going to start off and just kind of go through the ins and outs of some of the graphical modding. I specify a lot of the work with the 3D side, 2D assets, and part of getting them into the sim for rFactor 2. So we're just kind of going to go through that process. I'm not going to promise this will be a start to finish. It's just going to be progress work. I'll be sure to answer questions and everything as we go along, as much as I can anyway. And if others have any information to share, I'm happy to check it out and give it a shot, you know. So I just got some stuff going on over here on the side, and then we'll get this thing rolling. Oh, and I do apologize if this is dropping frames like crazy, because right now I am streaming on another computer, so we'll have to see if it's got any issues. Let me just double check some settings here. Alright, it does have encoder there. Yeah, it's got a bit rate that it's trying to hit of about 10,000. That's fun. We might chuck this back here a little bit. Let's go to 5,000. See if that doesn't help a little bit. Yeah, that's going to make it a little bit better, hopefully. And we'll lose some quality. I do apologize for that, but I think it'll be an okay experience. Anyway, without further ado, I guess let's get started. So hopefully we have some audio going on in the background here. I apologize if any ads come up or anything, because it's probably just pulling right off of YouTube. Just something to have in the background while we're working, you know. Gotta stay steady. So anyway, yeah, we'll just kind of go ahead and get right into this. So what I've done here, I've already loaded up my first car. So we're going to be working on the Ford Mustang GT3 2024. And this is one that, it's actually a couple different models together here. Now, I will say, I'm not the best with 3D. I'm actually using purchased assets that we have and kind of mushing them together in some cases where I feel like there might be some stuff missing, that kind of thing. So anyway, first what I want to do is make sure that all my 3D elements are in a good spot. So I'm going through and doing that right now, and over here on the left I've got my Explorer scene all set up, or Scene Explorer. And I want to give all of my parts a unique name. And the best way to do that is just giving a prefix here. In this case I'm using must24. Can't tell you exactly why, but it works. It's short, it's identifiable, it's very likely unique. That's going to be important once we get into the sim. Actually, let's go ahead and call this GT3. Must24 GT3. So we know what it is. Now, what I like to do, I like to split up a lot of these elements here into effectively what my materials are going to be. This isn't always the case, but it definitely helps, at least initially, to identify some things. And that's not there. You'll see why in some cases why we can't have all of our things called the same thing for the same materials. For instance, looking here, we've got this wing, which right now is part of the body, and that's going to be fine for what we're doing in preparation, like when we set UV maps and everything. But because the wing can break off, and it actually has special coding in rFactor 2 that defines that when it breaks off or is not available or is damaged somehow, that it actually affects the arrow that's on the car. So we want to make sure that that is addressed by having it as a separate object. So just real quick here, I'm checking on one thing. Okay, it looks like I'm on the Twitch side too, so I'm just going to make sure that I check this here. Yeah, okay. So I've got the chat and everything over on the side. Okay, sweet. So I think there's a way of bringing up your chat where you don't have to watch it. I'll try and keep an eye on that chat over on the side, so that way I don't miss any comments if anybody actually joins in and watches this. Anyway, so back over here, what I like to do is go through and I have all my interior elements with an INT, so that way it's very easy to tell what's going on. We're going to be merging some of these things down here. So basically, let's just kind of go down the list. All of these interior bits, I'm not going to name those right now because they're going to end up changing here before too long. We have some exterior elements here that I am going to update. So if we pull up our windows, which is currently called glass, and I'm going to name that something else for a little bit easier identification in a little bit here. It's also good to have your reference pictures and whatnot. So we'll take these over here, and so like in this case I'd be looking at this to know, okay, where am I putting these fasteners on this thing? So in this case, coming over here, and I'm going to make sure that I've got my select tool, and then over here in my command window, got all these guys. So you just do like a drag and select. And if we alt tab back here, we can see on this guy we've got, so basically those two spots there. I feel like there's something kind of up underneath there. So what was that? That was basically, let's grab that too so I don't have to reposition these. And it looks like it's boop boop. So now that is going to come up here and there because it's on an autosave sort of thing. And then I'm going to alt click drag to deselect that group. Pull these up. Just getting this. Just sort of eyeballing this. This doesn't, I mean, you can set this exact. I like to have it where it's just going through the surface. So okay, we'll deselect that. So that's, yeah, that's probably about right. I mean, this does not have to be perfect because this, well, I shouldn't say that. Some people will say it needs to be perfect. I'm not too worried about it being absolutely perfect because we got a lot of work to do here. You can see this guy here, it's all twisted, so we're just going to change our rotation tool. Do that. That's actually pretty good. We're going just bring this down a little bit. Huh, that's not bad. Now these fasteners, they add a lot of really good detail here. You know, they just break up a surface kind of thing. Make sure we grab this. Here. Here. Deselect those. Again, I'm holding Alt and clicking with my element selected so it grabs the whole thing. Okay, so those are good. And we're going to grab these on the side here, and let's keep these in position. So it's going to be about the middle, so it's going to be matching roughly. You can kind of see the shape if we zoom out as it bleeds through, so we're going to kind of match the shape there. That's pretty good. Okay. Is that pretty? Yeah, it's actually, it's not bad at all. Okay. It's in a good spot. Alright, so now we're going to just grab this. So I know that some of this is more 3D modeling and not really modding per se right now, but don't worry, we're going to be getting to the good stuff here in just a little bit. It is important to set this up so it's in a good place. So if we come here and look at this window, now we've got some black outlining here. So if we take a look at that, so we got some of that there. Let's just take a look at what's on the other side here. So, we seem to be missing some. This is the interior tub. Let me double check here. So we've got that. That's black. Okay, so we can basically okay, so we've got some fasteners on top. Let's just go ahead and knock these out real quick. Well, yeah. We'll get the sides first. Let's get, yeah. Let's just grab the sides. We'll just grab the sides. All right. So looking back over here, it looks like it kind of splits it. Since I don't have that going on here, I know it's not exactly accurate since it looks like the modeler that we have on this just did kind of a seam around here, and that's fine. I'm not going to be too upset about that. What I am going to do though is I'm going to get these roughly proportioned to where they need to be. So right now I'm just working on this side. Looks like one of these faded through. Alright, so I'm going to start with the one that goes in the most. And notice how you get that sort of thing when it pops up like that. So I'm not going to rotate this, but I am going to deselect it. Okay. Seems my window bits here, so here's what I'm going to do. Since these are about where they're going to be, I'm going to go ahead and deselect these. Don't worry, we'll come back to them in a second. Alright, so we've got, alright, so that one's the next one to go in. That one's the next one. Maybe, yeah, I did. So, do that one. So you're going to see a nifty little trick here that I'm going to pull to make sure, because you think, oh man, you got to do this on both sides. You know we're not going to have to do it on both sides. We're just going to get this to where we want it. Let's look back over here. So basically it's at the near the edges. So this is going to be like slightly under here. So if we come on. So we're just going to kind of line up with this line here. And we'll come out just a little bit. Alright. And the bottom is kind of evenish there. So we're going to kind of have this match up with this one. And so we'll do that. Looks like it's a little bit rotated, not too worried about that. Actually, I kind of am. I lie a little bit. It's a small lie. Okay. Hopefully the performance isn't suffering too much, just checking. Okay, so apparently somebody's advertising for me, that's fun. Very nice. There's one watching right now. It's me. Alright, so let's go back over here. So we've got this stuff going on. Nice, alright. Some harsh edges there. I won't be too worried about that. So these guys here. I'm just going to do this one because, like I said, we've got a little trick we're going to pull here. So let's take a look over on this side. So that's up right near the glass where this comes in, just above that. It's like right next to here, so we're going to go bloop. It looks like it's about somewhere in this area here. Yep. So we're going to go like that. Sure it's visible enough. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and just see ya. Come on. Alright. Okay, so with that, we've got some of this stuff. Now there's stuff going on inside here. These fasteners were put on the inside. I've already got fasteners inside, so I'm not going to just checking to see where these might come down. I can always add these as I'm going through if I really need to. I'm not really worried. I'm mostly just focusing on the outside because you can just copy these. In fact, what we're going to do right now, well, first we got to do this. So let's pop over here. So it looks like we've got a couple along the bottom. Now we don't have this black strip in here because it looks like that's actually being applied to the material object. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe these out for right now. Don't worry. Well, let's bring back our glass. So let's bring back our glass. Alright. So then we got our fasteners here. Go ahead and bring them out. Alright, we're going to go back and look at this guy. So we've got 2 here, 2 here, and it looks like 2 here. And we've got 4 to work with. This is smooth, but it looks like it's going to be on the glass, so that's kind of, well, we're just going to eyeball this right now for the sake of posterity. Prosperity? Alright. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these, I'm going to detach them. You can be in mesh or poly. We're just going to call it that for right now, it's fine. And we're going to go ahead over here where we affect our pivot points, and we're going to set to, we're going to set it to 0, because that should be where our car is. And we're going to reset our scale, now unaffect it, and we're going to mirror and do a copy. So this should not line up because our car is not a 0. I don't believe. Let's take a look. Well, looks like it is, so why? Did it not? So what this should be doing for us, we're actually at 0. If our car is perfectly centered, then it should, if we hit this rotate here, it should do it across the plane. So it almost looks like it is, but these are slightly buried. Makes me a little concerned that we're not symmetrical for some reason. Let's just see what happens if we pull them out. Well, I'm not going to worry about it too much right now, because we're going to be doing something here in a minute that's going to make some sense. Alright, so with these, we're going to go ahead and attach them together. Fasteners are put back. Oops. And let's go ahead and select our fasteners that we have up here. We're going to autosave now, and then we're going to reattach these so we're all back together. So I like to call these fasteners. Fasteners. There you go. Cool. So there's that one. So we do our prefix here and then whatever the thing is called. So we got the body. This is fine for now. Body, you want to make everything that's going to be paintable on the car. Just start with that. Everything that you want 2D artists to be able to actually update the graphics to. So what I'm going to look at here is, now I do have a few of these. I'm looking at, so the diffuser on a lot of these on a lot of these GT3s tends to be paintable. See if I have. I thought maybe the Proton would be, but since it's actually the only livery we have. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to do anything right at the moment. We're going to update this. So if we were to look at this, we're going to unwrap UV. I'd probably put that I don't know, maybe somewhere in here. Looks like this is the back, yeah. So I'd probably like unwrap this. So I'd probably do one of these. Come in here. We'll apply UV edit, unwrap UV. So if we look at, oh, I see, because for some reason these are together. This is pretty bizarre. So it's kind of nice because it did grab this. That's exactly what I want. If you double click on it, it will highlight just that segment. Let's try a projection map. For some reason this is not. Let's go like that. This is weird. Typically it's going to grab that shape. There we go. You're just at the wrong angle. So we give it the Y. Do that, and then we're going to set our ID. We select ID. So if we actually double click this. Now some people might put the back of the strakes on here too. I'm probably just going to stick with the outer line for right now. We can always add it later if we need to. I mean, you saw we had plenty of room on the other mesh, so I'm just going to call this 2 to make it easy for me. Collapse 2. And so one thing you can do here is if you've got selected, you're in your sub object, and then if we go over to our body again, and if you could select everything, but we know right now everything is, so we're going to go ahead and unwrap UV, put that modifier on. I'm going to edit it. I'm sorry, not that. Ignore that. Keep that off. So we're going to actually control click and select multiple ones, because we know if we go over here, this one, it did have it selected. So if we select ID there, and then we control click the body, and you can see it's highlighted. That's what we wanted. And now with those selected together, if we unwrap, beautiful. Just make sure we have this. Now there are things we can do to make sure that this is sized correctly. Considering what's happening with this part, I'm not too worried about it right now as far as being sized properly. It's not going to be detrimental. So I'm just going to put that there for right now. I'm going to collapse that. Now we're all good. So that's how you do it across multiple things. Because now if we went in this and then we selected, basically inverted our selection, we could make this whatever we want. Okay. So actually, let's take a look back at that. So we've got our black stuff. I'm actually pulling from, this is the under tray of a different Mustang model that we purchased, which wasn't quite as good, but it does have some elements that we may want to use, and you'll see why maybe in a little bit if we go back and do anything with that. So now we get to just kind of merging stuff down. So I'm going to call this, Mustang, fine, whatever. So we're going to say, so we got this rim, and here's what I'm going to do with this. First of all, if you have a smoothing modifier, go ahead and take that out. We're going to do not modify, so we're just, we got to check all these. Now, they are turned off here. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go around the car and I'm going to start calling these things what they are. So Mustang GT3 rim, rear right, and we're going to attach. I just tell it not to modify the materials. I'm going to adjust everything anyway. I'm not too worried about it. I know that there aren't a lot of elements here to really be overly concerned with. So there's that one. We can go up here. Now if you want to, these are from the artist supplied. You can see when you turn them on, this count up here goes up considerably, and if you want to turn that on, if you right click on that where it says standard there and click viewport settings, you can go to statistics, turn on total plus selection, and show statistics in active view, and that'll bring that up. And you can see that these are pretty dense, so it went from like 8,000, which is pretty high for a rim object, but okay, to extremely high. This is extremely smooth. Turbo Smooth does that. It basically quadruples what you have going on here, if not more than, because it just depends on the structure, but usually anywhere from like 4 to 10 times the amount of polys that are involved. It's ridiculous. So it looks like all these. So we're probably going to end up breaking some of these things apart anyway at some point, but we're just going to do some stuff to make this work for now. Rim, front right. So ideally what we want to do is we want to get as few objects as we can in one spot. Like where these things make sense, and as we go along we'll kind of see front left, you kind of see what's going on with this. So with the wheel objects, wheels are rims, tires, all that stuff, all the junk up inside. They're kind of unique because rFactor 2 is going to treat them special. It's going to say, oh, you're something that has a special instance, you have special properties that need to be addressed, dealt with, controlled through rFactor 2. So that's what's going to happen there. So, so those are all done. Let's go back up to where we've got. So we got black, dark. So now I like to have a couple different blacks in here. Black, dark is going to be, it's going to have no specular. It's basically just like, it's just blackout stuff where you don't want to have any detail or background or anything, or at least extremely minimal, whatever. Now you could texture this and do stuff where it's got things on it, but it's basically going to be so hidden, you know, the eye's not going to really see much. It's like, oh, there's just darkness in there. Like when you look at a picture, it's like, oh, there's you know, something going on in there, but there's not really a whole lot. It's like it's dark in here. There's just, you know, it's just dark. And on the front, you do have, like, you can see there's some stuff in here, and we can add that for sure if we wanted to. We look at, like, if you look at the front here, it's like, yeah, there's some stuff here. Do you need it? How much of this do we need to see inside of here? You know, like, get these really dark patches. We're not too worried about it. So if we go over here, there you go, boop. And then so we've got a disk. So 188, that's pretty good. And this one's basically already in here. So yeah. Go ahead and skip that commercial. So we're going to call this and disk. Ugh, of course. Pain in the ass when it does its auto front left. Now normally I would call this disk with a K, but I've been yelled at by our physics guy that disk isn't spelled that way because he's European and whatever. But the reason I would do that is because, and you'll see this here in a minute, we're going to have disk glow objects that are applied as well, and because G is between F and R, which is what we use for our designators, then it just cuts right into the middle and it's kind of a pain in the ass. Now this is, looks like this is locked. Yeah, so when it's italicized like that, it means that it's frozen. That way you can't do anything to it. Let's see, disk, front right. Disk rear left. And this one's disk right rear. Now, I'm seeing here that our 0 point is way out here. And we're going to just go through and take care of that at some point here. So we got this caliper. It's got some stuff going on. I don't like that that's digging into the rim. Seems not great. It's kind of just like pinched in there. It's really weird. It's like, could we? Well, not really much we can do there. So this, I'm guessing that he probably pulled this off of some other car he didn't adjust it for this rim. That's fine. We can also change the, I mean, like 1100 polys for this object, and then almost as many for this other piece. Like if I look at one of my other cars that we have, the caliper is quite a bit more simplified. Right now we're going to leave it. We can swap it out if we want to really start getting in optimization mode. We'll keep it like this because I mean if we look over at the main one, we can get a good shot of the caliper. Yeah, it looks like it's probably find a good wheel image. And not have one right up front where you can really kind of see down into it. Seem to have a lot of pictures. Unfortunately, none that are going to help me right now. Ah, there we go. Yeah, so it's kind of detailed. I'm not getting a ton of shot in there, but that's alright. So, I won't worry about it. So, alright, so if we go in and we say caliper, whatever, you know, like it apparently doesn't have a backside really either, which I'm not worried about. We'll deal with this. We're just going to use what we have right now. So this one's a caliper. We're going to rename this caliper front left. And then if we come back over here, this one I'm just going to make set ID to 2 because I can tell that this one's probably what you want. And if we do that, then somewhere in here. Oh, yeah, we're way down low. Okay, so yeah, it's set as ID1. So, coming back up here, we're going to attach. And we're going to go bloop. And we don't want to modify anything. Make sure you hit escape or click that so that way you don't start attaching whatever on there. It won't actually give you a warning if there isn't a mismatch between the material IDs or anything else, so keep an eye out for that. So I'm going to guess that this one's in the same shape. If we go in here and select this, oh, okay, that's interesting. Let's go in here and do the elements. So we want to get these guys off of each other. Detach. Come on. Of course, right in the middle. So if we come in here and do an attach, this, yeah, do not modify. Oops, actually, I may have wanted to do that. Did I just say this? I did just say this, didn't I? No, I did not. Alright, set ID 2. There we go. So we're going to call this caliper rear left. And there we go. Escape out of there. Come over on this side. So now I want to select these. So one other thing we can do is we can that should Just to double check, I like to maybe do one of these. Okay, yeah, I don't see anything else coming with it. Control Z to make sure it goes back into place. And then we're going to set this to 2. And then we're going to, oops, and then we're going to detach. Then we're going to come over here and grab this. And then we're going to do not modify. And caliper right rear. Okay. And so we go in here, we do the same thing, set ID to 2. And we're going to call this one that one. And front right. And attach. Okay. And for some reason they're not saving it. I'm missing one. Front right. Where's our front right caliper in this one? Backs up. Oops. Probably helps if I caliper. Okay. So that is done. Alright, so we got black dart on all this. Fasteners, that'll move up here once something happens. Tier plastic. Yep. Like I said, I'm not going to worry about renaming these, they're kind of in the way. Rim. So where's our rear left? Rim, rear left. Okay. So we've got that. Where are we at? Okay, so Mustang Black, that's that other one. Chassis. Alright, so now we're getting into some stuff. So we're going to have to fix some of this stuff here if we go onto this. So our guy, I kind of knew this was a thing. He kind of didn't align this quite the way that we needed. So it looks like, I don't like that we've got like see-through stuff here, because that's gonna show up as see-through. I suppose if we hide it, then it shouldn't. By the way, rFactor 2 does not use any sort of it does not use any kind of back facing. So no double-sided polygons, unfortunately. So what I'm doing is basically using the transform type in to get this where, or not type in, I'm sorry, transform to get this about where I want it. So that seems almost where it needs to be. Now if we want more precise work here, if we go into edit and do type in, that's right, it won't let me do it. I kind of want just the side to side. Yeah, like that. Unfortunately, it's not as precise when you do it that way. You can see we've got some edge cutting through here. And so now, so that kind of brings it up. So why we're gonna have this. Let's see, is it still? It is still cutting through, unfortunately. Not a big fan of how this is modeled, unfortunately, like in this particular spot. The rest of the car looks really good. It's in really good shape, but unfortunately, this little part, kind of a pain in the ass. Unfortunately, if you keep it like this, then it's going to... you're going to see it. So if we... this back in. And that should... that basically does her there. Cool. Alright. Alright, if we do one of those, it pops through again. So if we do that, kind of have the inside one where we want it to be. So we're basically, oh geez. So I'm just manipulating these points here so that way they're in decent shape. Don't like that. Okay, so this is kind of a pain in the ass doing all this, sure. Alright, that's good enough for right now. We can come back and fix that as we need. So we're going to call this Winnow for Windows Out. No, we're not. That's the chassis, I'm sorry. So let's look at what this is, actually. So this is the black cowling that goes around the exterior of the, well, sort of the interior, but facing out exterior part of the window. So knowing that, we've got I believe it's shiny. Yeah, looking at the back. So I'm just going to call this black shiny. Now, we got some parts in here that are not shiny. So we're going to actually... Boop. So there's that, and I'm going to detach. Oops, actually, no, I'm going to select the inverse and detach that. I'm going to call this Mustang GT3, all that fun stuff, black. So we got black shiny, we've got black, it went somewhere. So this is black shiny, that's fine. Now when we have the window, because this is sticking up over top, that's going to have proper cowling stuff on it. So I'm not too worried about that in particular because it's going to be addressed. How's the back look? The black does have a little bit, but I think there actually is some back here. Yes, there is. That's our black shiny. Okay, so we'll get to window in a second. Actually, right now. All right, so this one we're going to call window. Now, we want, when you're doing the windows, you want any exterior glass that can get rained on. You're like, what the hell? Yeah, right? Alright, so let's look at this guy real quick. Is there glass on the front? It looks like there is. Yep, you can see reflection right there. So, let me, I thought that there was glass on this. Hmm. Definitely know there was. So I do want that glass. I don't know if I inadvertently deleted it when I was getting this model prepped, because I definitely remember there being a glass front on that. And unfortunately, I'm not seeing any of that over here on this side. If I put all the back in, these are some old parts that I don't like to delete anything necessarily. I'm gonna kind of you know, grab it and do whatever. For the moment, I'm gonna go ahead and again, as you're grabbing these, make sure that anything that you've got here that's a smoothed object, that you take that off when you're adding these, because you don't want to have it. Basically is, it's destructive adding, because it'll merge that stuff down. It'll just do whatever's applied, and it'll basically apply it. It'll flatten the layer, as they say in like Photoshop. So now if we hit this, then we'll just see the stuff underneath. And I don't believe the rain light, does that have a glass fixture on the back? I don't see anything. Probably because the LEDs would have it. I mean, you can't really tell from that shot. It might. I don't know. Just kind of looking at it here. Yeah, there's definitely glass on that. I'll have to come back and grab that. I'm not going to stress about it if I can't get glass on there. Looks like there might be, or it's just a shiny black surrounding. There is. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go over here. I'm going to bring up one of my other models that I have and see if I've got that one. So let's see, we've got the other one that I was going to use, but then I decided against it. Stay hydrated, kids. It's important. Oh, I see Dan Kirby's watching and waiting. Well, he was watching anyway. Huh. It says taking a moment to download from my network server, so I'm sorry if the stream is screwing up. There's a lot of stuff happening in the background. Alright, so this one is also a pretty good model, but we ultimately decided to go with a different one. The one that you were looking at before. This one doesn't have it either. I'm really annoyed by that. Well, so we can deal with this. There are a couple things we can do here. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to close this for now. And go back to our working model. Alright, so here's this guy. I'm going to take this smooth off, and then I'm going to go ahead and that. I'm just holding shift and selecting this. And I'm actually going to duplicate this. So if you right click, go clone, it's going to add a 001 to it. That's cool. I'm going to hide the other one so I don't accidentally grab it. And I'm going to go ahead and detach this and delete because I don't need that. Isn't that lovely? Alright, so now what we can do is we can go in here and we can now it's a flat object, so it doesn't really matter what I'm doing here. I mean, this is all just glass, or it will be glass. I'm just going to kind of bring it out here, and I'm going to rotate it a little bit. Isn't that lovely? Like I said, I'm not a big like 3D guru or anything on this. I'm sure that there are a lot of other more efficient ways of dealing with this, but this is what I'm doing for now. So we'll go ahead and grab our glass here. Very cool. And attach that. There we go. And we kept it pretty minimal in terms of the polys. I mean, I could have, realistically, I could probably get rid of those edges or whatever. Maybe I'll do that. There. In fact, why not? Why not even just go even more? Just have it be a single poly. Let's be efficient, you know? I mean, who's gonna tell? Because it's cutting through here. It's not breaking off or anything. It's not hurting anybody. If you hear anything in the background here, I apologize, you know, from the dog barking or whatever. Sorry if it scares anybody. Make sure that we are. So it looks like I need to go a little bit more. Okay. Now, as you saw there, if I pull on just one section, it's just gonna pull it in the one direction for the scaling. Let's see, we want to turn that back on. So it looks like it's cutting through, but it's not. It's not actually. Okay. So we're basically going to do the same thing with the front here. We're going to make some glass. So this is nice because it's all basically the same shape. Now this one, we do need to keep some of our polys. So we want to go like that, and we're going to say clone, parts black, clone. Apparently we have a couple parts black. We'll take a look at that in a second. So we want to say, bloop, and then we're going to invert, Control I does that, and we're going to delete it because we don't care. We care about that other stuff. And what happens if we shrinky dink? Okay, that didn't work too well. It's going to save right in the middle of all my fun stuff. Alright, so we come in here, we detach this, delete. Let's go back down to our object here. Now, fortunately, because this is all nice and the same size or whatever, or the same shape I should say, we can just one of these. Now, why? Okay, so that's okay. That's okay. Now if we turn this back on, we got black parts black. Now normally it doesn't like when you have things named the same. Kind of freaks out a little bit in that regard. Now this one I guess we probably could also do, because we've got enough geometry here, we can kind of just tuck it in there and hide it. But we're gonna grow it just a wee bit. Unfortunately, that is clipping through the surface. Now, why is... Mm-hmm. Now, so you get some Z fighting in here. I'm not a big fan of that because that will show up. Fortunately, so is this stuff. So now I can get out my vertex tools. It's just a really tight tolerance in here, so it's going to complain a little bit about things that are going on. Right. So you can kind of see what's happening there with that edge. So we kind of have to shape the glass piece a little bit here for this. And this is a little bit far out. Can bring you over. Yep, there we go. And so just a little bit of Z fighting there. I think we're going to be alright though. And so that was there. So these tolerances are really tight. Again, I'm not a modeler, so. Alright, but what we will do, so we don't have to do that again, effect pivot point and centered object. I'm sorry, not centered object. I want to zero it out. Just to transform and scale, and then we're going to clone. And this looks like it should be good. There must have been some custom configuration happening with this. Or something. We got some snapping happening here. Probably is going to be fine because it looks like it just kind of cuts off there. And this detail, I mean, we're so zoomed in at that. Probably not a big deal. So if we go in here, grab that, we'll find our windows. Where is our window? Or is it still called glass? There we are. Boop. Alright, so now before we move on to the next one, there is something we have to do here that we're going to prepare for later. And this is unique to the windows. We have to color the vertex illumination. So if you are in edit poly mode, go down to your polygon vertex colors, select your illumination, and we're going to start by taking everything to black. Now that's going to be for the front facing stuff. So if we go to element and then deselect that, So that's that. I'm going to have to reattach those there, and you'll see what I can do with that in a minute. So now we're going to select our left side. Left is green, or I should say driver side, although it depends on the car you're in. And so then we select this one. On the right, or passenger side, it's blue, 255. Make sure it's pure blue. And then for the rear of the car, this one is going to be red. So black on the front, green, blue, red. And again, this is just for all the glass that is that can have rain on it. So like the most exterior glass. Now if you had like a light fixture inside of here, now these are LEDs, so like if we just hide this and we're like looking at this, if we had another glass structure in here, like inside this one or something, we're going to use a different type of glass material, because we don't want it to have water on it, because that means that you've got leaking stuff, and it consumes more resources when you do it that way, so we're not doing it that way. And at this point I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to save this as a new copy. I might lose a little bit of performance here because it's going to save to the network, so apologies if that happens. That's one of the reasons why also it takes a second when it's saving, because it's writing to my server while I'm streaming two things at once and also watching my streams. Okay. Yeah. So here we go. Back to the lab. We go in here, we've got, yeah, so that one's done. I'm not going to worry about that. So black shiny, and we didn't change that, so there we go. So we got the grid. Now this grid, 1700 polygons. I do kind of like that it's its own structure. However, having that many polygons in here is kind of problematic when you can just do this with a flat surface. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to keep this for the moment. I'm going to call it grid too, because, well, as well I should say, just because I want to keep that like that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's see, this is a curved shape. Yes, it is. It's kind of got some stuff happening to it. So I'm going to come back over to my other model. I'm going to actually steal this off of here. So I'm going to detach this. And I'm going to slide on over. So it should generally have the same shape. And if we do this, affect pivot point, we say center to object, and then if we go 0, 0, 0, bring this over, drag it up. That's actually not too bad. If we get this. So if we drag this like whoosh, so let's go ahead and we're going to hide our grid here. Go back to this guy. So this needs to be manipulated a little bit. It looks like I might need to put a smooth on this just so it follows this contour a little bit better. But we're also going to select this and we're going to rotate. And we're looking to kind of get this in line. that. Now notice that it doesn't have quite the same amount of detail. So let's see, I'm going to bump that up to just behind there. But it is going all the way around, so that's the most important thing. It is touching on the sides, so that there, I want that there. Drop back just a little bit. And the same with the top. You can see that it's, oh, actually no, those are in pretty good shape. We want that one to be that, and this one also to be a bit like that. Come on. So some of those detail people aren't going to really see too much of down in there. But that's going to give us the illusion that we need. Okay, so this is going to be a much better object for us to work with in terms, because you can just set materials to this as opposed to setting a you know, I mean, we've got 4 versus 1600. We just saved ourselves 1600 polygons, which your processor will thank you. So I'm going to call this grill, which I think we have other grill meshes around here. That's carbon fiber. I want to say there's something back in the back of that thing. Maybe not. Maybe it just goes right up in there. It's kind of our best shot. Or just straight black, but I mean this might just be because it's a rendering. Yeah, this one's not very helpful. Yeah, it looks like it's just carbon fiber back in there. This is all just lovely carbon fiber. Okay, so we got that going on. I'm gonna keep this grid because it's fun. We'll deal with that in a minute. Now, the one other thing about the grill is that we're gonna have to find a mesh that's gonna work, or mesh texture that's gonna work for this. Actually, one thing that I want to do is I want to grab these and bring them down. So that way it's basically all that's here covering this. I don't want it to be too far out there, like too far out to the sides or anything like that, because this is going to be paintable. Or at least we're going to have to apply our own texture to it, where it's the Mustang GT3 on the front. I don't believe we're going to see. I mean, we could make it paintable and just, you know, just put it on there ourselves. It's the GT3, but let other people change it if they need to. I don't know. We've got the space, so we can do whatever we want. Alright, so next on the docket. So, where are we at? We got in plastic. We're going to deal with the interior stuff here in a bit. Rims we already did. Black. Mustang. Oh, that's right. That's this piece over here. Now we're just stealing texture meshes off or whatever. Headers. So these are the pipes. So I'm actually going to call this parts, because these are things that have non-generic textures on them, which kind of sounds weird, but trust me, it's a thing. Which, if we go back over here, let's see if we can get any good shots. What's happening with the piping? So you can see it's got that thermal wrap material in there. So we'll deal with that. But for right now, we're going to call this parts. We're going to actually bring a lot of other pieces into this. Now normally I'd put the fasteners on here, but remember, the other thing that we need to consider when we're making these different GMTs here is, well, I call them GMTs, they're objects, but they will become GMTs in rFactor 2, which are just the objects that get manipulated. What we got to consider is that each one of these is going to have a LOD in and out, which basically defines in meters how far away from the camera it is when it disappears and either goes to a lower level, a lower polygon version, lower resolution version, or just disappears completely. And in some cases, like for these fasteners, you don't really need a whole LOD set for them, or like a whole series of them. They can just disappear because they're so small. It's such a small detail that you're really only seeing it when you're close up. Maybe one LOD level, so that way there's just like a little speck when you're like, you know, out here or something. You're seeing it from far away, and you want to keep that texture kind of floating in there. You know, whatever. Let's see that I've got some of these down here in the bottom. I'll eventually deal with that. So anyway, let's keep going. Alright, so that's the interior base. That one's on. Interior straps. Let's turn off our windows so we can see what's happening there. We actually don't want this because that's an old one. We're going to call this old. This is just my convention for it. Now you can group these. I don't like the way that Max does grouping and everything. It kind of makes it a pain to switch back and forth between stuff, so I'm just modifying that for right now. Yep, thank you. And when it saves, it obviously moves that stuff around. But, no. Okay. So, let's take a look. Where were we? So we got the base, interiors. That's another one. That's an old one. The base we're keeping because we've actually updated that to merge with some of the stuff. So we've got LEDs in the front. Alright, so these are actually our lights. So let's take a look at what this looks like. Let me get a good close-up shot. Really want to see these things in action. That may be just a rendering. So it looks like they're kind of light, but maybe not. Alright, so they're going to have a texture to them. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually update these. So you can see these are on. We're going to have these little lines up here as our daytime running lights, and I'll show you how that gets done. We've got this little side texture here. So that's our yellow. That's our yellow bit. So basically when you do lights, you're going to have two things to consider. You're going to have like your just off texture, like where nothing's turned on at all. Nothing's active, nothing's glowing, anything like that. That's just what the base texture looks like. And then you're going to have your various levels of lights on. So you're going to have, when the car turns on, if you have any daytime running lights, which would show up here, which we're going to do. And then You have, if you've turned your lights on, which are going to be at the front in the headlights, and at the rear, the tail lights, they're going to come on a little bit dark, or not full brightness, I should say. And then you've got your braking lights. So like when you actually hit the brakes, what lights turn on there? It's usually just the brake lights, but you can have other stuff. Now there are other light options you can do, but we're not going to worry about those for right now. Just keep it to the most basic, the ones that we really need to have kind of deal. So we're looking up here and we've got that thing going on. I'm trying to see if there's anything on the surround that, you know, might be chrome or something that we can detach. And unfortunately, I'm not really seeing anything. Look at all those greasy fingerprints in there. Disgusting. I'm going to pull up a web browser real quick and see Ford Mustang 2024 headlights. So we'll see what we can get here. Looks like these are kind of a special deal. So I'm just looking at them. The ones they're selling online, it's not really what we want because it's not this. What I might have to do is just pull generic texturing for this, so that way we can just kind of move on with life. So it is going to have, I mean, that doesn't matter too much if we kind of look at here. LED, so this is LEDs on. This is actually kind of convenient because this is going to match up with when we actually have our light objects on. Now these are 2,000 polygons, kind of meh, but you know, whatever. I don't know that we really need those little center bits. These look like when they're off. Alright, so we actually need this for the texture, so I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this. Copy, and so driver's side. Now I'm going to explain that in a little bit when we come back to that, but just know that that's there for now. And I'm going to take this. I just want to see if we can see like the surrounding part, because if that's kind of chrome or something, that might help with some stuff. Now hold on a second, because I'll need to step away from the computer, so we're going to just look at this. Seems my headset turned off. That's very lovely. Very nice. It's always fun. Unbelievable. Alright. Unbelievable. Alright, so I probably was explaining a whole bunch of stuff that nobody could hear. Nice. Gotta love that tech. Not that anybody's watching, but, you know, maybe somebody will someday. Who knows? This is a very tricky object to deal with here because it's doesn't want to align with my expectations. Okay, that's better. Okay. So humming and hawing about that stuff. So let's take a look at where we're at here. We got parts black, and it truly is. I mean, these clasps, I don't really know. I mean, I guess they are black. If we go back up here, let's grab our just our regular black. We can attach. It's the shiny black. I mean, these probably are like a type of plastic black, and that's kind of, I don't want it to be too matte. Especially this part here, because I feel like there's some ventilation there. Let's see if we have any good shots of that area on the car. It'd be nice if we could kind of see it, so we can have an idea. Really hard to say there. Can't really see anything. Got some felt going on there. So you got some detail in there. It doesn't look like there's really much going on. It's just sort of generically black. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do this. I'm going to detach this. I'm going to make this our dark black. Black dark. We're going to attach it here. And then we've got our regular black, which we want to grab this. And then we're going to detach. And let's just double check and make sure there isn't anything crazy happening behind there. Yeah, it's got some different surface fun stuff, but we're not going to worry about that. So if we go back over here into our black shiny business. Black shiny. Okay, black shiny. Yep. Yeah, that's good. That's a good one. And then we got black here, and then if we add that onto black parts, yep, that should take care of that. those are kind of atlas together. Now this here, I'm going to take this off because these little bits I don't like what's happening with these. So I want to kind of deal with this. Let's detach. And then this, needs to be like an extra dark black here. So black dark. Again, this is the really, really dark area on the car. It's like when you look at it, you can't really see what's happening here. Like you just kind of have some, like there's obviously stuff in here, or at least they've added this. You got some like motory elements or whatever, but I mean that's with the direct light going in there, and you're honestly not going to really have a whole lot going on. I mean, if you wanted to, you could separate this and just put a texture on there so it looks like there's stuff behind it. That's fine. You can do that. It doesn't hurt anything. What I am going to do is I'm going to do that. Yep, okay. I'm going to bring that up there because we want that to be covered into the back. When you look through here, you don't want to see anything behind there because like I said, if you remember, anything that you can see behind is you're going to see behind it. You're going to see through it. So if I click on the body here, all this in here is going to disappear. So it's actually kind of a problem because yeah, anytime you can see that underside or that reverse, that means that you're going to see through it. I might smooth out. So I'm just kind of looking around the car here. Come on. We're going to detach this. What's up, Goomba? How's my buddy boy? We're going to do something with that a little later on. You'll see. So we got some of our parts here. Parts are going to be generally anything where you've got stuff that you want to define with little graphics or like textures that are more unique. At least that's how I do it. What is that? Yeah, that's good. It's cutting through the texture. That's well done. Not a big deal. Not a big ordeal. We'll make this work. You notice that we don't have any suspension in here. We're going to have to deal with that. For the moment, though, let's take a look at these guys. What happens if we hide this? Can we actually see through? Alright, so we can. That's kind of a problem. So what you're seeing here is you've got this wheel arch all up ends. And you should be able to see down inside there. I believe I do have a shot where you can kind of do that. Well, now from that angle, it almost looks like there's stuff in there, which is kind of funny. I mean, from here you can see that you can look down inside. That's something we're going to have to monkey with. It's kind of hard to see, but yeah, you do have that straight shot through. And there's stuff inside there that it's going to have to be dealt with. Yeah, there's a very clear outline of the wheel. You got the tiring there. So, I mean, this could be as simple as we just manipulate this. Now the problem is that we've got this wheel arch in here, and you know it's up inside the car. So realistically, what we'd almost want to do is kind of have to keep this here. There's not really a good way around that. Because we don't have any other, we don't have a backside. So the other option with this is that we just make it a dark black. It wouldn't be as realistic for sure. Yeah, that's pretty much right there. For right now, I'm just going to grab this and make it part of the dark black. We can come back to this and really refine it as necessary, but this will at least just deal with the situation so we can move along. Now the other problem is that you can see down through this one, which means that you're going to be able to see like just right on through. We can look at it once it's actually in the sim and see if that's realistically a problem or not, but if it is or it isn't, yeah. Looks like I might be summoned to a meeting before too long, but we're almost to a point where we can actually get this ready and start applying materials. So I'm going to take a look at that. We've got Winnow. Mustang Black, we're not worried about that. Parts doors, so this is going to be part of our black series. So this looks like it's a shiny black. To me it does anyway. That's a lovely shot. So those are actually little domed bits on those LEDs. Really good texture shot there. Very nice. And that low sun, good contrast. So it's a slightly different material, but we're going to go ahead and use the same one anyway. So we've got black shiny. Oh, yep, there's our smoother. Let's get rid of that. Black shiny. Black shiny. We're going to go ahead and add this on here. Do not modify, and yep, that's pretty good. That's real nice. Now we can always move some of these things around if we really had to. We're not going to worry about it right now. Okay. And you can see from here. Oh my, yeah, that is a lot of stuff. Okay, so we're just cruising in at under 200,000. Ideally, you'd want to be anywhere between like 100 to 200,000. The fewer polys you can get away with using, all the better. That's the ultimate goal. Just like when you can just have as few as possible, that's when you're doing all right. You're doing really great. But you know, if you can't, it's not a huge deal. But yeah. So where are we at here? So we've got Mustang radiators. So I'm gonna include this as part of the chrome deal. You remember? I know when we're looking at the front of our car, we're not really able to see it too much. It is a nice metal structure in there. I do like that. But once it's got AO on it, it's not going to be very, very brilliant shining. but you will be at least able to see it. So I'm going to go ahead and grab Chrome. Make sure that it's not, yep, okay, cool. No modifiers applied. Radiator, boom. And then sport rear. What is this all about? Okay, so yeah, this is going to be another one where you've got different materials, metals on here. I'm going to call this chrome too, because we can obviously update the texture however we need to. We're going to have to put an AO map on there anyway, so I'm not really torn up about it. So there's that. We got the wiper. So what are these objects here? So we've got this guy, and if we double check over here, I'm pretty sure this is chrome. Yes, it is, or it's at least, you know, that whole thing. So we've got chrome. We're going to add that to. Oh, come on, buddy. Okay. Keep forgetting to double check if I've got stuff there. All right. We've got object. What is this thing? So I believe this is. Let's go ahead and hide this. Alright, so this is the floor in here. It's the opposite. It's the underside. I don't know that we really have any sort of view on this, but I'm going to guess that this is kind of carbon fibery. Now we've got this entire front section, which is going to rip off if, like, this is the splitter right here, which we're going to make so that way it can detach from the car whenever you get that sweet front end damage. So I'm not too worried about that. As for this though, I think we're gonna just go ahead and call this as carbon. We kind of have a lot of stuff here, like this underside and all of this under bits. Realistically, that could be carbon too. So like if we select this, I mean, if you get that sort of texture inside there, it can be pretty good. So I'm gonna actually do that. It's not realistically all going to be carbon fiber, but oh, whoops. I put it on the wrong carbon. Attach. Black. There we go. There's all of our lovely carbon fiber. Isn't that just lovely? I'm going to take a moment here and check on something. Pardon me for a moment while I look at this. Okay. I'm just checking in on the other stream I have. And, okay, so we do have our, I keep clicking on this guy. I'm going to keep that here still because I might end up running into stuff, although it's looking less and less likely. So we're going to say tire front left, tire front right. Now we're going to come back to this because I actually have a different tire that I like to apply, but this one's really good. I mean, it's got this lovely beading going along here where you actually have a contact patch. And if you look at, so we're going to take these off of all of these. So if we just grab these and we say wrap UV. So this is actually in pretty decent shape. This is on the back side. This is on the front side. This should be the front side. This should be the front side. This should be the front side. Yep. So we have a separate tire that we're using just across all, because it has all of the materials and everything already applied. But that is really nice there. And we'll need to cut this here, so that way we can apply that other texturing. Because basically it's going to go right in the center. Like we've got a very particular way that we do this. So yeah, we're in a good spot. We've got pretty much all of this stuff where we need it to be. I haven't done the interior stuff yet because there's going to be a lot going on there. As we save, it's probably glitching my voice like crazy. So before we keep moving on, we have the Windows shader here, or window objects. These are all, if you remember, all your exterior glass elements. One thing I'm going to do here, I know that this, so you can see these two are separated. I'm going to select all my vertex objects. I'm going to go to Weld, and I'm going to hit OK. So now, if I select the element, yep, that's everything. You put that at 0.001 meter, so basically within a millimeter, and that way you don't run into it. You just get all those free-floating vertices nailed down. You want that. So first thing we got to do is we have to update our UV maps. So if we open UV editor, this is a mess. So we want to select everything, Control A, hit that. And what I'd like to do is actually try this new tool that I have. Like, what if we box this? Didn't do anything. Womp womp. That one. So this is splitting it by vertice. We don't really need that so much. In fact, so this one's split up here. We're just going to flatten that out. So typically you'd want to have, you don't want to manipulate these, like make them different sizes. You want them to all be scaled the same. That actually fits in there real nice. That's pretty cool. Double check. It's actually not exactly halfway. That's funny. Get way deep down. So what I might do is just shrink this a tiniest little bit. So that way we don't have any issues with it going outside the edges here. It's a pretty big pane of glass. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we actually need to be up above that line. There we go. Put that at 0.5. What do we have here? Oh, what? What? Okay. That was weird. I'm just gonna kind of put those off to the side for a moment. And that's fine. I mean, these are damn flat pieces of glass. We're not putting anything on these really, so it doesn't really matter that much. It doesn't matter if we have polygons that are on top of each other here. You can see it's buried into the back of the thing. It's not really going to matter too much. There's not so much curvature here on the front, so I mean, we realistically could do that for the front glass if we wanted to. But we seem to be in fairly decent shape there, so that's the left one. Appears to be inverted. That's fun. So we're going to select all these, and we're going to come down to rescale elements. That's cool. We're going to do this. And this isn't really a big deal here. Do this. Let's see. Oh, before we do that, let's get you over here. Just putting these out of the way for right now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then we're going to do this here. Okay. What are you? Oh, yes, my rear plate. So if I go here and grab all of these, and I rescale my elements, and now scale all these down. So what we're looking for is this rear one here. I'm just rescaling the rear one, rear window, and that looks pretty good. So I'm going to have that right there. I'm going to have these guys over here. And I'm going to put you there, I believe that's, yep. Oops. That's like that, and then it's like this. I'm not really too worried about any of this the way it is. We could be more methodical if we wanted to be, but we're just kind of getting it where it needs to be. So if we come over here and do this, and do this, so we might actually have to move some things around. Run around. So if we take our headlights, so it should be able to fit up here. Yep. Now, here's the deal. Whatever you have going on here, if for some reason somebody wanted to add logos onto this stuff, then you'll have some issues. Now we can split this up. We can put the albedo into different channels for sure. I like to just keep it all the same. I mean, typically you put albedo in channel 1, and then you have different types of textures, texture mapping in the different channels. It's easier if you just keep it in one, because then you only have to worry about one, but I know that that's not always what, you know, is standard. I know some prefer to kind of, you know, change it up, and that's fine. For simplicity's sake, this is all I end up doing, so here we are. So this is fine. It's okay to have this out here. Keep in mind that it will overlap with anything here, so if there's any kind of, you know, writing texture or whatever that happens on this side, it's gonna happen over here. So like basically anything that's there, it's going to appear across. Yeah. Um. I wonder if we can do anything with this. You know, just so that way you don't have that there as much. I mean, there really isn't, without losing too much detail. I'm not going to worry too much about it at the moment. We can always change this and do stuff with it later. It's not going to be a massive change in things. So we're going to go up to Tools, Render UV Template. Actually, let's double check and make sure we can't relax anything. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. It's because I don't have this split up the way it probably should be. I just want to make sure that we're actually in the right place. I guess we have a backside of these. That's fun. Whatever. Alright. Render UV template. And this needs to be a 2K texture. So 2048 by 2048. We're going to save this. I'm just going to throw this on the desktop. Window wire.png. It's fine. And then we're going to collapse to. Oh, we actually do need to update this on wrap UV again. And we're going to map to channel 2. This is where the rain is. So we're going to say move. We're going to collapse that too. So you need it to be on channel 2 as well, because of reasons. And those reasons are the rain. So now what we're going to do is we're going to clone this. And we're going to call this winE, window in. I'm going to hide the main one. I'm going to close that out. So for this one, we can get rid of, this is going to be everything you can see from the cockpit, so we can get rid of this glass that's outside of that. And then we're going to select all that's left and flip it. So now you're only seeing that from the inside. Cool, right? And now we've got everything that we need. I call this old. And I believe that's kind of everything there. Now I need to make some glow objects still, but I think we're good for where we are right now to be able to manipulate this. So I'm just double checking on what's happening here on this race. Looks like we're on lap 13 of 21. Man, we got a good battle for the lead. This is pretty awesome. Great battle for the lead. Just watching Champion Motorsports. We got Adam Baldwin is trying to chase down JT Tammy for the lead of these USF 17 open wheel formula cars. We're on lap 14 of 21. We got 7 laps to go. I think this is the last race. Really good stuff. Now, I don't know if, I mean, obviously this car does not have any sort of antennas or anything. Like, it's really pretty plain for the outside. I'm kind of surprised by this. But, I mean, that's kind of what we're looking at. There's just not a lot. Now, there's a tow hitch that we're missing here. Unfortunately, we probably could cut in and install that a little bit later. We can pull that from something. I'm not going to worry about that right now. I probably should. You realistically should be done with all of your 3D modeling before you get into moving things around, because you don't want to go back and have to redo stuff, anything like that. It's a pain. Because then you have to go and like redo textures and all this other junk. But yeah, for now, just gonna kind of look at this. So it looks like on the original one they have a window out on that back area there. That's interesting. Pretty cool. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up. I'm going to open up probably the last project that I worked on, which is the Porsche 992. So this is going to come up. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this in, and this is going to do a couple things. There are a few objects I want to pull off the Porsche, and I also want to double check to make sure there isn't anything else that we can use here in terms of just components. I know the Porsche is chock full of them. But mainly I want to be able to use the materials that are already loaded into the scene. The scene's already set up. It's already in pretty good shape. So that's going to be kind of my next step here. And I think that it's probably going to, it's taking its sweet time. I don't know how this is for anybody else, but how are streams doing? Let's take a look. I haven't actually checked out what's going on over here on this size. Yes, Alec, if you're there, that is me. Alec's not out there racing. Yeah, we'll hit OK on that. Alright, so we got my Porsche here. First thing I'm going to do is save this as, I'm going to go to the desktop. What version am I on here? 4. Alright, so I'm going to save version 5. Save file, save as. Just because it's easier for me to grab that. I'm going to save files, save as. Desktop. I'm going to call this version 5. This is going to be kind of a major iteration with changes we're making. Nice. How much is one of these fasteners worth? $260. Wow. How about one of you? 120. That's not as bad. It's still pretty chunky. It's a lot of fasteners. God, man, that is a lot. Very much. Alright, so let's go ahead. We're going to go in here. We're going to delete this. We're going to delete these. We're going to keep the backfire. We don't care about this so much. Shadow we don't care about. These we don't care about. Parts. Maybe grab the tow hitch off of this thing. I think we might just need that, yeah. So I'll leave that for right now. No rain we're going to need. Metal. Do we care? There's not really a whole lot of room in here for extra bits. I mean, I could probably keep that. Here's what I might do. I might grab one of you and one of you. It's kind of costly. going to go here in lights, all that's gone. Collider we don't need. Delete. Caliper. So these are the basic calipers that we have. I'm going to hold on to these because you can see, like, this is 932. I mean, we're saving ourselves a couple thousand polys, which is not bad. Same with the disc. If we hop back over to here, is this disc structure a little bit more detailed? Yes. Is that necessary? For a savings of almost like 700 per each, so you're talking like 2400. Yeah, okay. That's worth it. C mirror in, C mirror in fast. Chrome, what do we have going on here? No, we don't care about that. Can delete these. What about the carbon? That's just the splitter. Cool. We'll delete that. Body wing, body. Get rid of these. And that's fun. Alright, now we're getting somewhere. So we don't really have a whole lot here. So this is one we want. Do we have anything back here that's worth putting on display? So we kind of have the big chunk. Not really anything there we want to pull out from this. We could have if we really wanted to. Oops. Black, dark, we don't care. Black. Alright, so boop. I'm going to get rid of these. Do I want those? I mean, I'd like them to fit, but I know they won't, unfortunately. So we want this black, because obviously that's some good suspension components that we have in there. It's not going to be exactly the same, but I mean, you hardly see this shit anyway, so I'm sorry, I swore, kids. Black shiny. The shiniest black there is. Got some fun little pieces there. We don't really need any of this. So black, yep, that's fine. We got the disc glow, we got the grill. Got the grill one. Apparently I had that for some reason. We got some interior stuff here. I don't know that we're gonna need any of it, but it's here in case we do. Most of that, I mean, it's so custom to this. I'd hate to pull it in, especially since we've already got a lot of good custom interior bits on the other one. Don't need that. No, probably need that. Interior chrome. Nah. Not gonna need any of that. The LCD might be worth something, but we can always pull that back in. Same with the buttons. Background, all this stuff. It can go away. Goodbye. Internal mesh, we already have that. Internal metal. It's another one we kind of already have. Internal metal dark, again, stuff we have. Internal plastic, roll cage, seat. Hold on to the seat for a second. Shell is custom to this, so we're not really worried too much about that. What parts do we have here? So for this guy, we're going to select everything except you. Goodbye. And then we're going to go here. Goodbye wiper. Goodbye steering wheel. You're only 24,000 polygons. Kill myself. Alright, so if we come back over here and we look at the windows, take those out. So we've got this seat. Actually, that bucket seat's pretty good, and it's all integrated anyway, so yeah, we're not worried about this. Goodbye. What do we have here? Ah, yes, our metal bits that we stole. What's this one? Parts and high res. I'm gonna delete you. Alright, so I think we got everything we need. So now we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna save this just because we got it. And now I'm going to go ahead and just before I do that, I'm going to check on this. I think we're. It appears we're. Oh, we've started our final race. It looks like. Man, we are on lap 2. This is pretty wild. Not spread out at all. Some good wheel-to-wheel battles, man. Yeah, go check out Champion Motorsports if you haven't. It's really good. So if we import, we're gonna merge. Actually, before we do that, I'm gonna make sure. I think this is saved, but boop. Do 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 do. So the initial maps that are kind of the most critical, by the way. So you saw me doing the windows; those are critical to kind of get done out of the way first. The body template, for me, that's critical only because right now we've got guys that need to work on liveries in order to get ready for the season. So we need to have those set. And then the lights, because you got to have those in place in order for lights to work. It's just how it's got to be. So that's kind of it. That's what you got to have. So what I might end up doing here is, because I'm seeing some stuff in this, if we come back over here and we look at like this bottom piece here, like this is all carbon fiber. Now they're probably going to be teams that put stuff on this bottom sill, this area down here. I don't doubt that at all, because I mean, hell, I would. I mean, you got all this area here, why wouldn't you slap some stickers or some design elements or something on it? Apparently I somehow turned off my headset. I think I got a loose wire in here. Probably going to need a new headset at some point. Nice. So yeah, as I was saying, you've got some stuff in here that doesn't really need to be covered. So if we come back over here, and if we kind of, you know, well, I mean, I guess it's not really a big deal. I mean, I'm sure there are going to be some teams, even if they don't paint this per se, they might want to slap some stickers on it, same like there on that guy. So yeah, even though it's probably going to just be straight up carbon fiber, you got to have it paintable so that way teams can do stuff and put stuff on there. These bits here, we might go ahead and change. Same with so like, I mean, do you need the underside? Some might argue, yeah. Now for this, I would say you probably don't need that. That can probably be carbon fiber. So I'm going to go ahead and update the material ID there on that. I mean, this just frees up a whole lot of stuff inside. Oh. What is this? This is going to be some kind of carbon fibery bit. That can just come off. I'm just going to... In fact, I think I'm making these debris elements anyway. So when it comes to debris, you have 8 objects that you can have that are debris. And that basically means you can... they can break off the car. They can't show damage when they get hit, but the idea being that if they're getting hit, they're probably breaking away anyway. Not all of them are going to do that, mind you. Make sure this is, yeah, those are all my parts. So probably some good ones to have. And this is outside of, so you basically have 12 parts that can detach in general. I think it's 12. So the 4 tires, 4 wheels, I should say, because it's everything that's considered a wheel instance or tire instance. You're also going to have the wing, the splitter or front wing, depending on whatever you're calling it. So that's 6. I guess it's 14 pieces in total. So those 2 are special instances that can break off, and then the wheels are 4 more special instances that break off, and they're all defined under damage. You technically have 12 that are listed as debris. The wheels have special slots under the debris and under the damage file, and we can look at that once we get there. And then outside of that, you got 8 other parts of the car that you can make fly off. So, I mean, dive planes are an obvious choice. Those break off all the time. Those are great, excellent to break away, clean away. I mentioned these little parts back here. So I like to try and pick pieces of the car all around, so when you get hit in certain spots, something comes off from that side of the car. So at the front, you probably have 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 pieces of debris there. And then 1, 2, and then probably like, I would say like a couple of these strakes here, 3, 4. So like when you have really spectacular accidents, I mean, you can have like like 6 pieces flying off the front. If you get railed from the back, you got like another, what would that be? I guess 5 pieces ish. Yeah, because you have the 4 and then the wing up here. I guess 5. Sorry, 5 pieces off here. So, I mean, you got like 5, 10 pieces flying off the car. If it's a really bad accident, I mean, that's a good chunk of debris, and you'd still have the rest of the car getting all banged up. Obviously, if you have any part of the car disappear, you're going to see everything underneath. So that's not, and you would just see right through all of this. It would look terrible. So we keep the car body on and just have it take damage. I mean, if you've got parts that can come off, like if you had this bumper piece, like there was stuff underneath it, sure, yeah, have the bumper able to come off. I think it makes more sense to show damage, since you don't often see those pieces come off except for extreme accidents. Usually, like for the most of the time, you're going to get damage on there, so it's just better to have that as part of the car body getting damage. Plus, it's less giant chunks of debris that are hanging out on track, which those are typically more problematic because you're going to run over them. You're still going to hit these little pieces. I mean, that's still going to be something that you run over. I mean, you see the real guys avoid that stuff all the time. The real guys. Yeah, the real life drivers, they're getting out of the way, all that fun stuff. It's going to be a heck of a chunky bar there. I guess it's angled into the driver, so that's not too bad. Anyway, so what we got to do here, so this is all saved. I'm doing it again, just making sure we're all good. What are we looking at for laps here left in this thing? 8 of 21. Alright, so this is saved, and now we're going to go back over to this one. We're going to say import merge, and we're going to pull in our, no. I want to say import merge. I was about to, we are on 5. Go into here, and I want you guys to see certain things, because there's some proprietary things that are going on here that I don't want to give away. I'd be yelled at pretty violently if I did. Just know that I'm just grabbing that other document, the one that I'm working at over here. So it's going to pull down, oh boy. Yep, so it's going to grab everything here, and I'm going to grab everything, even the old stuff, because I want that to be in here. So it's pulled it in, and here we are. That's pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah, it's struggling a bit. Okay. So now we're on this one. I'm going to save this. It's 5. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lift this up here for a second just so I can see this other stuff below it. Man, that Porsche's got a narrow wheelbase. So I'm going to go back over to 4. I'm going to close this. Great. So one of the things that we need to do here is we're going to come in from the side, and we're going to lower this. So what you need to do is you want to make sure that the lowest part of the car, of the sprung weight, is down here very close to the floor. I kind of, if you've got some splitter parts here, I kind of make an exception, because you know the splitter can actually grab on stuff as per the collision box, like how it's detecting things. This is pretty good. This is pretty good. Now, because we've done this, again, if you're modeling this from scratch, you can just set all of this from the beginning. You don't have to worry about manipulating. But because we're not doing that, we got to kind of all do this stuff. So it's going to work from the top to the bottom. So we've got these black pieces here, which this is just our suspension. Actually, before we do that, let's look from the front, make sure we're all set there. I want to make sure that I've got all of these parts selected, because if I don't, I will be crying later. I think I'm a little bit lower than where I was. Doing a lot of scroll wheel action here now. I'm a little bit too high. There we go. Cool. Goodbye, old. I'm going to grab all this stuff. I'm going to go up to here. I'm going to grab my exterior and throw it on here. Assign to selection. Cool. And then I'm going to go into my interior bits. And I'm going to assign those to this other one. This is my interior one, except it doesn't like that. Hang on, because I can't actually see through there. There we go. Whoop. Selection, great. This should be all of my interior. Cool. So that's in a good spot. I'm going to check this stream once again. just to make sure it's the life we lead. Looks like we're a little past halfway on that side. Cool. And bubble texture. So 1600 versus 1404. Actually, so our tire is bigger poly. So if we do this, effect poly only, centered object, and then effect poly only, and we say centered object. And then if we go up here and we pick our align, and then we pick on the thing that we want, and just hit OK. That's great. So it looks like this tire that we have is it's actually very close. Looks like it's a little on the large side, but it's damn close. I mean, I'm real tempted to just keep it because then I don't have to actually have to do anything. Like, it's already just lined up nicely, perfectly. The only problem is that I don't have this new mapping, which I'll have to do across all of these, but I'm not really too worried about that. So now if we go in here, so this is something that is kind of a pain in the ass because we're going to have to do this on all of them. And I'll show you what I'm talking about here pretty soon. I'm not going to worry about doing this yet because I'm still in the process of manipulating a bunch of stuff, but you'll see kind of what the deal is here. So if we go into the tire rear left, I can't believe it's got a wider wheelbase. It's pretty wild. Delete. No, I don't really care about that so much because it's not. I'm about to move it anyway. Centered object. We do this. We say centered object. And then if we go and click on this guy, and center there. So this looks like it might be a wee bit on the big side. It's just engulfed by this tire. So we can kind of it's not by much though. I mean, look at that. Maybe it is. Yeah, you can never win, right? And if you kind of go back and forth real fast, you can see like this, the tires, that tread patch is sticking up quite a bit, yes, but at the same time, we've got a lot of thickness there. The diameter is just a little bit too big. So we're gonna have to fix that. Again, because I really like this, the shape of this, probably going to keep that versus our tire. Our tire is still pretty good, but just because this one's a custom one that's been updated, which is probably going to run in, I think it's WEC or IMSA, I can't remember now. I mean, man, look at that. So it's quite a bit thicker too. We're probably going to have to manipulate this. What we're looking at as far as a size. This is important to get all of the tire dimensions and the rim dimensions, everything correct, because the physics actually adjust the aesthetic parts of the car if it doesn't match, it will actually change it to match. And if you don't have it already pretty close, then it looks terrible. It just gets all skewed, stretched out, all of your graphics get messed up. Everybody has a bad time. So, knowing that these tires are correct, I basically can just adjust this, knowing that that's about where it needs to be. If I grab this, and hit Z, that will bring me right here, and go wonk. And I can just bring that in. There we go. That's pretty cool. So that's in a good spot. Now this, man, that disc is just way back in there. That's wild. But, you know, that works. It's kind of surprised that that's all lined up properly. Let's take a look at that, actually. So, we've got the car kind of where we need it to be. And if we look at it here, this stuff's where it needs to be, sort of. It looks like it's not lined up properly in this direction. Let's hide our discs so that way we're not having problems here. Alright, so we're good there. That kind of brings it where we need to be. So then, what we can do here, and unfortunately this looks like it's not the same as what we had before, so I'm just going to kind of come in at the side, and we're going to say I want everything that's there, and we're going to shrink you this way. It's about there. So that's going to open that up. It's going to add a little bit more dimension inside of this. Looks like we're cutting into something. Can't quite tell. Hang on a second. Alright, I'm just going to hide all that stuff. So, what is this? Ah. I think it went away. I still have a little bit of it there. Nice. Okay, so that's out of there. I'm just kind of like touring around, seeing if there's anything else that stands out as being needing to move about. It doesn't seem to be. Alright, so we got our suspension bits there. I don't think there's a whole lot we want to mess with on the back side here, just because you've got, I mean, we could if we wanted to. I don't know that we really need to. So if we look at this, so I manipulated on the one side. We don't really have to worry about that. I can do it on the other. I think I moved it around. Let's double check. Anyway, I guess I did. let's find the discs. Get rid of calipers, disc load, disc. And we're going to go here, and that should be pretty much right there. And yeah, that's that. Okay, so we've got these elements here, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to take our shiny bit. And where'd you go? Black shiny. Probably isn't shiny, but this will at least differentiate it from some of the other parts. Again, you're not really seeing any of this for it to be much of a thing. But as in terms of, like, you don't really need to have a whole lot going on with texturing and all of that. You can, and I mean, like, the better models will, but you don't have to. I mean, it's still going to be pretty good, even if you don't. Okay. So again, we're going to be replacing probably these disk objects, because as nice as they are, we've already got the other ones textured, and they're already pretty nice. I mean, I might also go and, so if, like, we look at these caliper objects, let's just take a look, do some math. So we've got over 11,000 polygons on these. If we were to use the other calipers, we cut that down by well over half. You're only doing just under 4,000, 3,700 polygons. I mean, do you really need all of that detail for something that you're barely even seeing most of the time? I'd argue no. I know some people are purists and they want to have all the pieces looking the way that they're supposed to, and, you know, all that. I would like to have frames for something that I'm not even seeing most of the time, even in live stream, all that. Alright, so for PLEDs, we want to turn on, I know I'm just kind of skipping around here. I try not to do that, but we don't want window in, we can go window out. So we know that this basically there, that defines that. I'm gonna try and get this right over next to, like, we're basically right in the corner for where this thing's gonna be. Okay, so these are PLEDs, or position LEDs. Oh, my bad. So I like to go for the GT World Challenge positioning. I think that makes the most sense. It's most consistent. You're not going to see these from the driver's position, but you will see them on broadcast and stuff, which is the whole idea. I mean, they're camera facing. It's not for drivers or anything else. No driver is seeing this. No driver cares, because they're going to be able to see the relatives and all that fun stuff and deal with opponents that way. So this is just for everyone else's benefit. Most of the shots that you're getting are going to show the front of the car as it's coming at you. So you're going to see that position mark there. And that's what they are. So we're going to go ahead and, come on. Now because I've manipulated this, I'm going to have to resettle it, but I'm going to do everything at the same time. Da. Must 24 GT3. So that's cool. I'm going to come back to the tires in a minute, in case you're following along there. Let's go ahead and grab some of these other ones. Parts, was there anything here? This tow hitch. Where is that on this car? It's just above the lip to the inside, so it's actually pretty close. So it's like just to there and slide on in. So I think yeah. Now, so this is kind of a problem here. Did this move? I'm gonna be really upset if that moved, and that's why this is like this. Like, I will be genuinely pissed off if this is now out of position. I'm trying to see if there's any way that I can kind of confirm this. Unfortunately, there isn't a very good anything here that I can do that with. It looks to me as though it got out of position. Yes, it did. God. I'm really annoyed by this. Because to me it looks as though this just like totally missed the boat on this thing. Yeah, everything is out. Everything is out of position. Well, I think that's probably a good spot to stop tonight. I gotta head to bed, but we're gonna fix this, and I'm probably gonna have to re-import this, unfortunately, but we can pick up tomorrow and see about wrapping this up and getting some stuff, some materials applied, any last critical elements that we need, and then we should be ready to get it in the sim. So thanks for anybody who stopped in or who's watching this again, and